Hello viewers, welcome to another teardown video. Today we've got this interesting beige box that I've just picked up, obviously being end-of-lifed. So let's have a quick look around this and I'll explain what it is. So this is a Dynex MRX. It's known as a microplate reader. It's used in the medical and research scientific industries. Now what it actually does is takes a microplate, which is a small thing with little wells in it, and you might have seen them in TV programs and things. You put samples, liquid samples, into the microplate, and then you place it into the machine, and the machine analyzes them and gives you some data about the actual samples that you've put into it. Now the way this works is it has a light source and a photo detector of some description, and basically how it works is for one of the tests it might shine the light through the actual sample, and depending on how a chemical reaction might have occurred, it might change how opaque the sample is to the light, also at different frequencies of light. So this can send light through the sample and analyse what comes out of it. Now this can also work for things like luminescence, so if the sample is actually producing its own light, certain microplate readers can do that. I'm not sure whether this one does, to be honest. I've not really looked into the spec of this one. But there are various different techniques you can do to look at the optical properties of the liquid that you're looking at to determine how a chemical reaction might have proceeded or how well something's worked. So that's essentially what it does. I might go into a little bit more detail on that when we start taking it apart. So the actual unit itself is a metal box, got a plastic front on here. Got a couple of little doors in the front, one of which has a 3.5-inch floppy disk, and we have MRX working disk, so obviously runs off floppy. That came with it. In the top drawer, in the top drawer we have the microplate reader cassette that you put the microplate into, and then it sucks it inside. And just got a basic LCD display with a few keypad buttons, on-off switch on the front, very basic power light, and then a few bits around on the back. So if we have a look at the back, we've got power input. We have a keyboard label there, serial 1 and printer, and for those of you who are old enough, you might start to recognise some of the layout here. We've got inside there an old school 5-pin DIN, and with that location and these card slots here, this is going to be an old school AT style motherboard. So this is effectively a PC, and another giveaway is the typical outline of a standard PC power supply. It looks like we've got an access door here as well. I have read briefly the instructions, and there's a few user changeable parts in here, notably the light source, and there are a number of colour filter options that can be changed depending on what you actually want to test for. So they are all accessible through this small panel at the back. Now the actual plate that the microplate sits in is actually this unit here. So we've got a nice machined aluminium tray that comes out on quite a nice moving tray, so that just sucks the microplate inside there for analysis. Right, so what are we expecting to find inside now? Well, there's going to be a light source, there's going to be some optical things going on to direct the light source into the microplate itself. There is going to be photo detectors of some description, whether they are photodiodes or photomultipliers, I have no idea. There is also going to be some mechanics to make the drawer come in and out. It'll be interesting to see how this front panel here with the LCD screen and here the buttons interact with the actual PC that's inside, how the communication between the two things work. and how the science element is actually linked into the PC. That'll be interesting to see. So I'll just whiz this around and we'll take the top off. So the top just comes off with a few Allen keys that are on here, so let's just take these out. Right, that's all the screws removed, so we'll just yeah, so we just got a standard if this was in a slightly different shape, it would be pretty much like a old PC case. And yes, looking at this, it does appear as though we have a PC motherboard in here. Just down here, in there, you can probably just start to make out an old, what have we got, an Intel 486DX2, and on a standard PC motherboard. So let's just start taking this apart a little bit more, and if anybody remembers the old PC cases, I'll probably get cut to ribbons very shortly, so excuse me if there's any blood. Right, before I start taking it apart properly, let's take off this rear cover. See, according to the manual, you can change the light source, or replace the light source I should say, and also exchange the optical filters for different frequencies, different filter properties. So it has a user accessible panel here, so you don't have to take the whole case apart to make those changes. So we just got a pressed steel cover. Oh, right, okay, so we have a slide out mechanism. So we have what is quite clearly the light source going through a couple of lenses, or is that just one lens? I think there's just a mask and then a lens, and then we have a wheel full of different filters. That appears to be attached to a stepper motor. So we've got a really nice sliding mechanism here. Just noticed below that there is actually a cooling fan as well, just blowing up close to this this light source. That is 12 volts, 75 watts. So we've got a small halogen light there, providing the light source through a mask, lens, and then these filters, and presumably the light then continues on into the machine deeper, and then sent to the microplate. Looking up at the top here, we have this plastic cover, which is obviously the sort of science area where everything actually happens. I've got a number of ribbon cables and what look like power cables running to it. That one I can just see through onto the PCB below, and it says lamp and filter motor. So the obviously the motor drives are on this PCB, and they're sent down to the lamp and the filter motor. And then we've got this cable coming up here, which is labelled LCD keypad interface. So that connects to the LCD display and the keypad. Let's just remove that off there. So that's just a ribbon cable. We've got, oh right, I can see here now that the power supply is just here, and they've got power cables actually strapped on here, coming up to this assembly at the top, and this connector is just a standard PC Molex connector, so that's obviously providing the 12 and 5 volts. This connector here is also connected to the other power supply wires, so that's possibly some of the other voltage that come out of an old school power supply. And the last cable there is titled RS232 interface, and that disappears down under there somewhere. Okay, it looks like I can't take this part out without taking the front panel off, because it runs through this metal part of the frame just here. So I think that I'm going to need to shuffle it around to actually get it out of there. So I'm going to take off the front panel and we'll see how we progress. Okay, well that's the front panel removed. I can't really get it all off because nothing's socketed. I'm just going to wait until this part comes off and then hopefully I can remove the rest of this. But on the underneath of here you've just got the ribbon cable comes up onto a PCB, and then it looks like you've got a standard Hitachi LCD just there. So maybe we can have a look at that when we get a bit further. Right, I've just released all the screws to this part, which seems to be all the science part. So I'm just going to try and get this to come out of here. Hopefully it will. Yep, there we go, one complete unit. Okay, you can see here now I've got the science bit out of the way. I've just turned it round just so we can have a look at the PC element of this. I have also just released the screws holding in the power supply. So I'm just going to pull this out of the way and we'll see what we've got. Little plastic cover there. So the power supply is obviously just a standard PC power supply. It's an Aztec one though, so a fairly decent make. The motherboard, yeah, I can't see any branding on that PCB at all, so I'm not sure who makes it. The chipset is a UMC North Bridge and South Bridge. We've got AMI BIOS over there. We've got a Dallas clock chip down in there, so all pretty old school. Just down here underneath the cables we have the old, cache RAM as you used to have it, and just here we have the old school 72 pin DIMMs. There's only one installed. Not sure what size it is, no idea, probably 4 meg or 8 meg or something. And yeah, you can see here also the old school AT style power connectors, which were always destined to catch out newbies because you could put them in backwards and that would really ruin your day. So also on here we've got the serial and parallel cables plugged onto the board, and this serial port which ran up to the science part, that is just connected to the board as well. So all the LCD display, motor controls, that's all done in that black box that I've just removed. So it doesn't look like the PC was really doing much at all. So yeah, we've got floppy disk cable there, and the old 486 DX2, and it is a 66 megahertz version. So on there we've got 4 SIM slots, the 2 parallel IDEs, serial, the floppy disk cable of course. We've got 4 PCIs and 4 ISA slots. Right, let's have a look at the science section. So I've got it turned upside down here because so you can see most of it that way. We've got a metal chassis and a plastic cover which is on the underneath at the moment. We have the light source here on this this section, which pulls out to allow you to change the light bulb, and the filters. So the filters are just running off this stepper motor, and it looks like the light passes through here onto this device here, and then we've got a number of wires which come over to what is quite clearly each of the lines of the microplate. I would imagine these are going to have to be optical fibers because it's certainly not going to be electric. Well, here we've got the filter wheel, so we've got a number of different types of filter in here. These just slide out. That one is only letting through blue purple colour. I guess the numbers on the side would probably be indicating the actual filter frequency. So looking at the numbers on here, I'm guessing that the first number is the centre frequency, so 490 nanometers on this one, and presuming the second number is a width, so it's 152 nanometers wide. Sounds plausible to me, and we've got what looks like a date code of 9727, so 27th week of 1997. If I put this up to the camera there, you can see it turns the image blue. That one's an even darker blue. You can probably hardly see anything there. This is 650, and it's you can see there it's red. So yeah, these are just this just spins around and selects the colour that you selected for the filter in the user interface. Right, let's take the plastic cover off the main guts of it, and we'll see what interesting things there are inside. Take the lid off. So we've just got a cheap plastic lid. Yeah, there's a fair bit on here, to be honest. So let's start at the top. We've got a connector up here which is unused, which is called TC Power. Not sure what that would be. TC is normally thermocouple, but why would you need power? Could be thermoelectric cooler. That would need power, possibly. We've got a barcode option there, which is obviously unused on this model because there was nothing plugged into it. We'll have a look at the ICs in a moment. So if we work a bit further down, we've got the connectors that carried the power, the connections over to the keypad and LCD interface, the RS232 interface. We've got a number of jumper settings there for TXD and RXD, host RS232 config, so they're probably baud rates or something. Looks like we've got some voltage regulation just here. In the centre here we have another unused connector. This is called hot plate option, so maybe some kind of heater element that could be provided. We've got a beeper, some analog devices, chips just there, and large heatsink, so that's possibly something to do with the motor drive. We've got a couple of large devices here. We'll have a look at those in a moment. Then we have a few more 7/4 series ICs, a shielded can, and a load of analog looking circuitry, and just there it looks like we have an ADC. Again, I'll look at the detail of that in just a moment. Now, given that we have this shielded area just here, that's going to be way too small for any kind of photo multiplier device, so my guess is that these are photodiodes in here, and that's why they're shielded. So I'm just going to prise open these tabs, and hopefully we can release that can and actually have a quick look underneath. And that didn't really reveal much, but yeah, this is looking more likely there's some diodes in there. Yes, indeed, there we have tiled on the PCB MRX photodiode array. So that pretty much answers that one. They look pretty cool looking photodiodes, to be fair. Let me just see if I can get you a closer view. Okay, so hopefully you can see those photodiodes there. Right, let's have a quick look through some of the ICs in this. So we start at this end. Obviously we've got the diode array, so that's going to be an analog signal. So there's going to be a whole load of analog conditioning, and then it's going to run into the analog to digital converter. This device here is an analog devices 7871JN, which is a 14-bit ADC and runs at up to 83 kilosamples per second. I wouldn't have thought that speed would be much of a necessity in this, but they might sort of sample it over a period of number of seconds to get an average or something like that. So that's just a 14-bit DAC. which will then run up and be processed, presumably by whatever that is. I'll peel the label off that in a moment. Just here we've just got a number of 7/4 series logic, probably some little glue logic to work with the ADC. Okay, this large device in the centre here is it's a Hitachi HD6473388CP10, which is a single chip microcomputer. So we have in here 8 16-bit registers, 16 8-bit registers, maximum clock rate 10 megahertz, which is what this one appears to be running at. Memory, this particular one, 338, has 48 kilobytes of ROM and 2 kilobytes of RAM. It has 2 channels of serial I/O, an 8-bit 2-channel digital to analog converter, 58 I/O lines, 8 input lines, 9 interrupt lines. It also has an A to D converter as well, 8-bit resolution. So obviously that wasn't good enough for what they were doing here, and they've used the separate A to D converter. So it has 8 channels of AD at 8-bit, which is quite impressive. So yeah, quite a powerful little unit, that one. And right next to that we have an SEC KM62256CLP-7L, and that is a 32K CMOS static RAM. So obviously they needed a bit more memory, so they've just thrown that in there, and it has a small amount of external memory to use with the microcomputer. And working our way back up to the top, we have a Toshiba TMP82C54P-2, which is a programmable interval timer. And next to that we have an NEC D71055C-10, and that comes back as a lower power CMOS programmable interface unit. For use in microcomputer systems, typically units 3 I/O ports interface peripheral devices to the system bus. So we've got 3 8-bit I/O ports, and the date codes on everything come to around about 1997. So that correlates with the filters that we saw on the filter wheel. So yeah, mid to late 90s on this one. And just down in there you can see the drive belt, which comes off this stepper motor here to extend out the microplate tray mounted on the underneath of this PCB. There's a couple of optical sensors, and there's a small section of metal on the tray here which just breaks the beam, so the system knows exactly where the tray is, or at least it's at one extent or the other. Okay, there we have the assembly where all these optical fibres come in and then shine through upwards, which will then disappear through there, and then hopefully you can see there that there is the underside of those photodiodes. There does appear to be a lens arrangement in between, but yeah, generally that just goes straight through. So right, so what I've just done, I've just turned out the lights, and I've got the light connected to my bench power supply. So I'm just going to run through the different filter wheels on this and project the light onto a piece of paper, and presumably we should be able to see the colours. So there you can see that looks white. If I rotate the colour wheel around, not much difference on that one. That one looks pretty much the same. Obviously there might be very subtle differences between these. Oh, that one's clearly red. Again, that one's pretty much the same, but it might not necessarily be filtering colours that we can really see. So, no, that one's green colour. And that one again, not really sure. That one's sort of a turquoise colour. Again, that looks white to me. Oh, that one's definitely blue. White again. I think we're back to where we started. Red, yeah. So, and one last thing that I've seen is this optical fiber here, which is completely separate to the diode array. That comes through this pipe here, and there seems to be a diode mounted to the PCB here. I would imagine that's probably for some kind of calibration. Right, there we go. There's nothing more to see. That's pretty much it. I hope you enjoyed watching the teardown of this microplate reader, and I hope you found it interesting. Thanks for watching, everybody. See you on the next one.